Hello and welcome to Mothership Gear. Today we have my friend Mary Ives.
Hello.
With her Prophet 08. Mary, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So tell me about this Prophet 08. How did you come to own it and why do you own it? What do you like about it?
Good questions. Has kind of a funny origin story to come into my possession. So my one of my good friends, Zach Esposito, who said in his last Mothership Gear episode that he didn't know me. Rude.
So was he lying bold-faced to the camera when he said that?
He sure was.
Wow. That's some... You guys should watch that episode.
You've been lied to. Cue the reroll. Just kidding. No, he's one of my good friends, and we used to live together, and he actually purchased this Prophet years ago. This exact keyboard. He purchased it years ago. He had loaned it to two different people. One person, I think he might have loaned it to our friend Donovan first, and he was messing around with it for a while. And then he sent it on loan to, like, for an even longer period of time to another keyboard player, another like lifelong childhood friend of ours named Joe DiGirolamo. And he had it for a really long time, and he ended up buying it from Zach, I think. And so it just belonged to him. And then long story short, I bought it from Joe, like, gosh, I mean, it was a long time ago now, probably like close to 5 years ago now. And so, but it was in the same, I think it was in the same house. Like I was in the proximity of it for many years before that. So
you knew it before it was your child or your...
There was a siren song long before I purchased
it was calling to you from the other room and you just didn't know it.
Yeah. I would hear things in the night like, Mary, come play with me. Come... I don't know. I was going to say tickle my ivories, but and I ended up saying it. So,
and since you have been tickling the ivories,
ye old plastic ivories, set forth by Dave Smith himself.
Yeah. So Dave Smith's ivories, you've been tickling.
I've been tickling them, and boy, do they tickle back on the ears.
So they tickle your ears specifically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing else. There's no hanky-panky going on here. It's solely sonic.
Sonic platonic love.
Yes. Band name?
Yeah. Okay, so then, so what you in the cold open, you used it as like an organ pad. Is that pretty much what you use it for nowadays?
Yeah, there's a lot of versatility with this particular instrument. I have kind of, if I'm being honest, I have kind of a love-hate relationship with it because I do love it. It's so beefy and girthy, and like it gives you the really like full synth sounds that you're looking for in kind of like an analog vibe. But it is so confusing that it makes me not want to use it a lot. So I think I shared in the last episode that I did with my Minilogue that I'm not the kind of person to like sit down and nerd out and like create my own patches. I prefer to like make tweaks to already existing sounds, you know, like whatever is the stock sounds are or whatever. And that's really challenging with this thing. Like you can sit there. I've done this before. This is probably, you know, there will probably be comments that like, you just got to do this and do that. And like, yes, I totally know that it's user error, like that I just need to put more effort into learning what all of the different things do. But I have sat there before and turned like literally every knob and I'm like, nothing's changing. So normally when I'm using this thing, I have kind of a set idea in mind of things that I'm already familiar with that it does, which in the past I've used it for like really lush pad kind of sounds or like kind of what you heard before, like the organ thing. It has some really cool patches that I don't know if they're meant for bass, but I've used synth bass before, like super fat, full sounds. some really cool lead lines. There's also some stuff in here that you're just like, what were these
Can you
programmers
show us some
thinking?
of those?
I certainly can, because there's a lot of them. I may have to take a moment to try and
Well, it's
find.
like when I'm watching a movie or a TV show and it's suspenseful. It goes back to Forgetting Sarah Marshall, like at the opening where he's doing like a crime TV show, and he's like, I'm not a composer, I make ominous sounds. And it seems like that's what a lot of these patches are. I don't know if these ones in particular, but it's like one of those things where you're like, who would ever need this? And then you're watching a show or a movie and all you hear are these like weird,
yeah, you're like, oh, there it is.
Someone used the patches.
Yeah, here's one that I scroll past every time. If anyone's curious and has a Prophet 08, it's Program 90 Bank 1 No Corn Yet is what it's called. I mean, I could see this being used in different ways. It's kind of its own song, just in and of itself. You really don't need to do anything else.
It kind of has like a Castlevania vibe. Like it gives me like Dracula, like 16-bit Dracula vibes for sure.
Yes. Here's another. Oh wait, that's actually a good one. Yeah, here's one, cheese intro. I mean, there's different things that you can do with that.
It's very like alien sounding, like comedic aliens.
Yeah. Not super useful for the kind of music that I'm wanting to make, but someone out, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and maybe I'm just not the right beholder here.
Right. Someone else needs to be tickled by that sound.
Yes, yeah, that hasn't quite tickled me in the way that I desire, but there are some really cool sounds on here, and normally what I like to do is just keep it plugged in. And I'll just like, if I need something quick that I know is going to sound really cool and is going to just like glue everything together, this is a really great option, as opposed to, because my two like workhorses are this and then the Minilogue, the Korg Minilogue. And the benefit to using this over like the Korg, for instance, is not only that this is stereo. So if I want to do stereo effects or anything, I can do that. But then also this has more voices that, I can play up to 8 voices, as opposed to on the Minilogue.
And describe what voices means to a musician who doesn't play with synths all the time.
I think you might be asking the wrong gal.
my guess, this is how I always thought voices were, is like they're different, almost like harmonics. Is it like, oh, this one could be like -8 and this one could be 8, like the octave, or this could be like the 5th, and that's what I've always thought voices are.
Your guess is as good as mine.
I'll read some of the information. So
sure.
Prophet 08 is no longer in production. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did know that.
So, but you can still access this page. So this is from their site. So real analog oscillators, famed Curtis low-pass filters, and analog VCAs. The Prophet 08 is capable of reproducing the familiar sounds of its legendary predecessors. But modern features like a greatly expanded modulation matrix and additional modulation sources, such as 3 envelopes and 4 LFOs per voice, take it way beyond vintage gear and make it a worthy and unique addition to the Prophet family tree. So features include a gated 16x4 step sequencer, arpeggiator, split or stacked key modes with separate stereo outputs per layer, and rack ears for optional rack mounting. The Prophet 08 module can also be used as an expander to increase the polyphony of another Prophet 08 keyboard or module to 16 voices.
Wow, yeah.
Full featured polysynth with a 100% analog signal path, classic real analog sound, including, I've already read that part. So yeah, I don't know quite what voices are yet, but I know that they're in it.
Someone in the comments knows. Summation, she has it all. Okay, she can do a lot, and she's great at what she does. She's just got a couple of B minuses in there. Lots of A pluses, some B minuses.
Well, yeah, it's like, as I'm reading this, like, the technical marvel that it is, then to think about those presets, like showing off that technical marvel, it's like you could make sounds like cheese.
Yeah, right. Honestly, I think that it, like, the purpose in bringing it here, although it definitely shines a light on my ignorance in how to use this instrument, plus, other synths that you could really dive into. I do think that it is worth messing around with if you if you just have time to kind of carve out and find the sounds that you like, and then at least if you have like a basic knowledge of well, here's my cutoff, here's the arp, here's like the mod wheel that can help you do different things.
Okay, so we are back from our minor break. So we actually figured it out, what a voice does. Mary, do you want to explain what Jake told us?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. Kind of makes me feel a little dumb, but it's just how many notes you can play at once. So on my Korg Minilogue, for example, as I mentioned, I can only play 4 voices at a time. Any more than that, then some notes will be prioritized beyond that and not sound. With this, you can play up to 8. So it's more ideal for actually like doing like chords and different sounds, whereas like the Minilogue is more ideal for like really simplified chords, lead lines, synth bass. So you can have a lot of fun with this thing in that you can play a little bit more. There's more freedom there.
Right. So you mentioned that you mess with the ARP and you mess with the filter. Do you want to just show us that feature that you use? Sure. Those 2 features that you use the most?
Yeah. One gripe that I could say that I do have is that when you're messing around, like if you switch patches and stuff, like the knobs, they don't automatically go from like 0 to 129 or whatever like the cap is. They're like oddly, like let's say that the knob is it's kind of at like 11 o'clock right now. It's gonna be at like all the way on in like the actual brain of the machine.
Okay.
So you have to like turn it all the way to get it to dime out in order to go lower. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
So that function is kind of dumb.
Okay.
Don't love that. But yeah, like for example, I just had to turn it all the way to the right to get it to actually read 164. And so, but anyway. This is like a very video gamey kind of sound, which I love. It's kind of fun.
I love that.
I know that like what I think the benefit of this is that I am not knowledgeable when it comes to like synths and keyboards and all that you can do. I just play and I gotta play what I like. But the fact that you can do so much with so little, like that I'm barely scratching the surface,
right,
and you can get really cool stuff is a huge selling point for this. I know some people that have like the Revs or like the Rev 2 or something, and those are a little appealing, but the fact that this is like no longer in production is kind of what makes me want to keep it. Plus I just don't really believe in selling gear unless you like really need money or something. Like I don't see the point.
It's like it's a fun challenge to figure out how to use it. Like I have weird guitars from when I was a kid, and it's always rewarding when you record it on something that gets attention and you're like, that's the guitar I had when I was like in 12th grade or 11th grade or whatever. And
totally.
It's like more special, and you just add more stories to it. Mm-hmm. And then you also have more time to learn more about it and create, your favorite patches or anything like that. So
and the value also like appreciates over time, so the whole point of saying all this is that we don't want to sell it, but in 10 years time, it's like, who knows what the value of this could be, or that goes for guitars
and
or
stuff anything. Doesn't always get better, sometimes often it gets worse, so it's nice to have the build quality that this one has. So
totally.
Thank you so much for bringing your Prophet, and we're glad it tickled you and you tickled it back. and it's here today so we could be tickled by both of you.
Yes. Hoping there was just like a real unifying tickle happening for everyone involved.
Yeah. Well, if you guys enjoyed that, then please watch Mary's episode on the Korg Minilogue and subscribe here. Mary, where can they follow you?
I am at Mary Ives, Ives, on all socials, on Instagram, TikTok. I don't use Twitter, but you could. And I also have music under the same name, Mary Ives. So look that up.
If they wanted to hear a song where you're playing the Prophet on the streaming services,
yes,
what would be a song to
I
check
was
out?
just looking that up this morning, trying to like pinpoint which of my songs. My song on my album that I released a little over a year ago, I think, is it's called I Don't Even Know You, and there's a synth solo like in the middle of that, and there's like two separate sounds going on, and both of those are from this Prophet and some doctoring and love from Spencer because he mixed it. And
I don't think I realized that was the Prophet. I love that sound.
Yeah,
it's
it
so
was.
Cool.
It was actually the sidebar. It was funny because I was kind of like practicing it this morning because I was trying to figure out like, is this the patch? Was this? Because it did sound a little different just because I think some of the effects that we used like post-production. But I was practicing it. There's a lot going on with like, I was using the pitch a lot to do some like bends.
Yeah.
And this pitch is crazy because the range is really wide.
Yeah.
And it's different than I do a lot of like pitch bending on my Korg Minilogue.
Yeah.
And there's not as much range on that.
Right.
And so I remember sitting there like trying to do like recording the synth solo for I Don't Even Know You and just messing up so bad because it'd be like just a couple cents off. It sounded so bad. It was a struggle. But anyway. That's the
Sick.
story.
Well, check out I Don't Even Know You by Mary Ives, and we will see you guys all next time.
Bye.
Later. Bye.